And now we move on to a different award. Once a year, ACFID recognises someone or ones who've made an extraordinary contribution to the sector. This award is presented to an individual or organisation who's shown an outstanding contribution to the Australian aid and development NGO sector over an extended period of time. The key criterion is whether the whole sector, i.e. more than a single agency, has benefited from the contribution. In 2019, the contribution to the sector has been awarded to an individual who's been committed, enthusiastic and a tireless advocate for children, both in the domestic and international development sectors for 4 decades. It's with pleasure that I announce that the 2019 recipient is Nigel Spence. After beginning his career as a social worker, by age 30, Nigel was Director for Children and Youth Services at Centre Care, Catholic Community Services in Sydney. After 10 years in the role, he went on to become the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Children's Welfare Agencies. Following this significant contribution on the domestic stage, Nigel joined the Child Life Fund Australia as a CEO in 2006. In his 14 years in the role, Nigel has been instrumental in ensuring the needs of children, expanding beyond its original scope to respond to the critical issues of child protection, to children's resilience, risk preparedness and responses to conflicts and disasters. His impact in the international development sector extends well beyond his role in Child Fund Australia. Nigel has been a leading contributor to the Child Fund's global network, the Child Fund Alliance. Child Fund Australia, the Child Fund Alliance, the sector in Australia and children, their families and communities are all the better for Nigel having served the sector over the last 4 decades. Please join me once again in thanking and congratulating Nigel.
Look, thanks so much, Susan. Look, when Mark rang me a couple of weeks ago with this news, I was quite stunned, quite surprised, and I'm still trying to make sense of it, really, to be honest. Look, and when he rang, I was actually in Laos, and I was in the middle of a meeting with a senior government official who was piling on the pressure about wanting me to use our position with World Rugby and our charity partnership with the Rugby World Cup to create more sporting facilities in the country, and he was pretty keen to get a ticket for the World Cup. So I was actually glad to have an excuse to step out of the meeting and take the call from Mark, but I had trouble making sense of what he was saying, and I still do feel quite surprised. But look, most of all, I do feel really honoured. Deeply honoured. Thank you, ACFID. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Mark. Thanks to ACFID board. This is really an incredible honour. Look, it is a cliche, and I know lots of us feel this, that I feel like I've been more fortunate than I've received more than I've given over the years. I do feel I've had so many privileges and opportunities in my working life. I think I was last here in 1979 finishing my social work degree. And I did start in 1980 as a naive, idealistic social worker, working with children at risk and their families in outer Western Sydney, and was way out of my depth, quite overwhelmed by the adversity that those kids and families were facing, but so much admiration for the solutions that they were navigating for themselves. And again, like just 2 weeks ago, meeting with a group of teenagers down on the Cambodia-Vietnam border. I was really lucky to meet with a bunch of kids there who were preparing to migrate for work. They were off to work in Malaysia and Thailand. Very poor families, no prospects to stay in the village. They were setting off on a really hazardous journey, and I feel so concerned for them. We know that 20% of those kids well, 80% will do pretty well actually, but 20% will almost certainly have a tough end to their journey. I felt deeply worried for them, but again, just so full of, I was so impressed by their determination to create a better future for themselves and their families back home. And I just say that because I feel that these are very, very powerful experiences that I've been so lucky to have had. These are inspirational people that are dealing with everyday injustices. And look, I am so proud to have been part of this international development sector for a long time. I honestly didn't expect I'd be here after such a length of time. I thought I'd take on the role at Child Fund and see how it worked out. 14 years later, I'm still here. I'm proud to be part of a group of organisations and individuals that are serious about taking action against poverty, taking action against injustice, inequality, discrimination. I do feel enormously proud of what we've achieved at Child Fund. We've worked really hard to reform and modernise that organisation, to refocus our programs to respond to children's development needs as they are today. We've committed to improving the quality and impact of what we do. So I do want to acknowledge my Child Fund team and board, and we do have some representatives here tonight somewhere. I can't see anybody at the moment, but I know you're there somewhere. Child Fund people, a huge appreciation to you. My current team, my current board, and some of you in the room who have previously worked for Child Fund, thank you. It's been a great honour to work with you. And if you haven't yet worked for Child Fund, there's still time. Look, I am stepping away from Child Fund at the end of this year, but please don't think I'm retiring. Please don't say that. I plan to take an extended break and look forward to continuing to make a contribution. Look, I would like to say for ACFID, such an important role, and again, this conference just so underscores what an important role it has. Could I just take the chance to say that, look, again, as I've got the soapbox briefly, look, next year is the 30th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. I really would like to encourage ACFID and our sector to continue to push ahead with the realisation of children's rights. I do worry sometimes that it's assumed that the children are getting plenty of attention. There's lots of agencies, there's lots of concern. Everybody cares about the kids, so it should be okay. But look, the facts would say that's not the case. There are so many ongoing, new and emerging threats for kids. Some are actively inflicted by government policy that heap trauma on already vulnerable children. Some are due to economic shocks, climate change, as we've heard today, entrenched poverty and disadvantage. The pervasive and casualised violence that goes on against children, and the routine exclusion of kids from decisions. There's so much more to be done. Someone unkindly said to me, look, is this what you get if you're a nice person, just keep turning up? And I said to them, no, you've got to put in 7 years as ACFID Treasurer. Look, I am still surprised, and I am deeply honoured by this award. We have so many great leaders in this sector. A number of them have moved on from this sector this year. I honestly think there's many people that are deserving of this award, but of course I'm very honoured and very grateful to have been given it by ACFID. And I guess in accepting the award, my final shout out is to those many, many people in our organisations and amongst our partners who just quietly get on with advancing the cause. You know who they are, those very determined, principled, hard-working people, not in it for self-promotion, but are committed to making a difference. A shout out to the quiet achievers. So, thank you, ACFID. Thank you, Susan. I really feel deeply honoured to receive this award from peers from whom I've learned so much. Thanks so much.